the Knitting Thru podcast. It is March 2nd, Sunday, March 2nd, 2025. And I'm really excited to talk to you today. I didn't know if I'd be able to do it this weekend. It's been kind of crazy. And I was going to try to do it with the kids in the house because my husband was very busy this weekend, dealing with projects, lots of things. But he was able to come home early and he has them at the store. If I look a little flushed, it's because I've had the heater on in this room all day, hoping I would be able to podcast. It's usually pretty cold in here, so it's actually really warm, which is nice. It's not always that way on my front porch where I do a lot of my crafting stuff. Speaking of crafting stuff, I have 3 sewing finished objects today, and I have a few knitting finished objects. Oh shoot, I realized I just forgot to grab one. Okay, I think I have everything now. And I am a Midwestern mama here in Indiana, in the United States. Indiana is, for those of you who aren't as familiar with, geography if you're not from here, United States geography if you're not from here, Indiana is, like if you look at the middle of, right, like California, New York and stuff over here, Indiana is like 1/3 over in the nation, in the middle of the, like that, kind of like that. The term Midwest is a little misleading. I feel like it's more Mid-East, but I think it was termed the Midwest earlier in our nation's history when it wasn't as big. So anyway, that's not even important. So I have some works in progress that I'm going to show you, and I'm really excited. Oh, first, before I show you all the things, I did a little tidbit. This is a vest that I made, that I sewed, that has been sewn, and I finally put buttons on it, and it's way more functional because of that. So that's awesome. The pattern for it wasn't super great, other than just the pattern pieces. The directions were not great, but I'll still link it in the description below if you want to, use the pieces to be able to do one like this. It's just a kind of straight across vest. I did not do the darts in the front because I didn't think it would fit me as well if I did that. So that's I did a few modifications on it because also the front armholes were like kind of digging into my shoulder. So I cut those closer in on this side. So I think that's it. And I lined it, which is not in the pattern either. But, when you're lining something, and this will come up later with the other sewing objects as well, because I lined those, and lining that wasn't in the whole pattern either. But lining something is not that hard. If you've never, lined a garment, if you just make 2 of them, basically. So you make the garment pieces in this, and then you make the garment pieces in this fabric, and then you kind of just sew the edges, right? And then you can understitch those so that the lining stays where it's supposed to be. And once you get the hang of understitching, I think in the last couple of years has just really changed the sewing game for me. I've been sewing for decades, literally. Wowzers. And understitching really does level up your projects a lot. So just sidebar. That's the only tidbit I have for this month. One of the works in progress that I have going on are birthday socks for my kiddos. So I have just cuffs for them right now. These are for my son. They're so cute already, just as cuffs, but they're going to be even cuter because I'm going to be doing a dinosaur pattern, colorwork pattern for the leg. This is a Sophie's Toes sock yarn that I don't know the colorway for. I'm using a US 1.5, which is a 2.5 millimeter needle with this yarn because it's just a little bit thicker. And the last time I did it on a 1, it kind of hurt my hands. So it's great. It's going to knit up a little bit faster and will be wonderful. I'm going to be using this black as the contrast yarn. Not only because I think it's going to look great, but the Patton's Croy yarn is more of a sport weight, and so I think the weights will kind of match each other there. So his birthday was in February. He is 5 now. It's crazy to me. 5-year-old socks don't take very long to do, so yeah, hopefully next month I'll be able to show these to you in the finished objects category, but they're just these little cuffs right now. Secondly, I finished the cuffs for the apple orchard socks that I'm making for my daughter. These are also her birthday socks. Her birthday was in December. These are a little bit behind the times here. I have knit my hair into this sock. Now this sock has a little bit of a ruffle on it, and then you go back and pick it up. So she picked out this blue yarn for her socks, and I think it's gorgeous. And with this as the ruffle, come on. So I'm very excited to get those back on the needles because you finish the ruffle and then you like pick up your stitches and do the rest of the sock. It's a super cute sock. I made them for my oldest daughter, and this is for my youngest daughter, and they're just going to be super cute. These are also Sophie Toes like minis that were in a magic ball. I still have quite a few of them left, so I'm just kind of going through them to use them up because I don't have any colorways or anything. They were gifted to me, and I really like them. They're really highly variegated skeins and really fun, and my kids especially really like them, so that's really nice. So I just have a couple of cuffs for those socks. One of the things that's holding me up on the apple orchard socks is that this blue yarn is connected to a different project right now. So I'm actually trying to finish the blue in this project so that I can just be done with it and move on to those socks. This is, oh, I've forgotten the name of the pattern. Darn it. Is it the bunny? I'll put it on the screen because I've totally spaced it. But one of the things that's in the pattern is there are these blue flowers there. So there's, if you can kind of read the knitting here, there's flowers here. There's a little bunny body right there. Do you see the hind leg there? And then there's flowers in the middle, and then it kind of mirrors itself. And then you do it again on this side. So I think there are 5 flowers that I'm supposed to do on this side, and I have just started the 4th one. So it's 5 or 6. It shouldn't take very long for me to get this blue done, but I've just been really excited about some other projects and stuff, and I'm kind of questioning my tension here. I pulled it to a smaller cord. I think it's okay. I think my floats are going to be okay. Sorry, someone's walking their dog outside and it's distracting. So such a cute dog. I am really loving this project. I'm using Sweet Georgia sock yarn in the colorway Cauldron, which is like this really pretty black with some blues in it. And I'm holding that with Magpie Fibers cashmere base in the colorway Selkie, which gives it kind of a more gray tone, but it's very, very soft and I really like it. I've also got my linen quill, yes, in the colorway Twig Brown as my bunny and branches color. And then this is also, oh no, this is a Wonderland Yarns colorway, but I still don't know where the tag is. Oh no, but it's really pretty, and I think it's an Alice in Wonderland inspired color. So once I get those flowers done, I'll probably put this down for a minute because the red that I need to use for the strawberries that are next in the chart is attached to a different project also. And I don't know if I'll have enough of it. Also, like when the other project is done. So I might also even need to order some more yarn for this situation. I don't know. But I'm a little bit concerned about this. Like these are puckering a little bit. But the last cowl I did that was like this, it was a tiny bit puckery like that in a couple of places, and it blocked out really nicely. So I'm hoping that will also be the case with this. The only other two things I've been working on that are still works in progress are my Valentine's Day cast on and my I'm forgetting the name of every pattern under the sun today. Wow, can you tell I wasn't ready? My husband came home early and was like, "You should do your podcast." And I was like, "That's a great idea." No information, none. So this is the November jacket by Petite Knit. I love it. I'm in love with brioche right now, absolutely obsessed. For some reason, backstory, for some reason, someone told me that knitting brioche flat would be the best way to, like, the best introduction to brioche. And I was like, great, awesome. And then I did Stephen West's Shawlography, Shawl, the mystery knit, and it is brioche flat, but it's 2-color brioche flat. And I thought, this is insane. Are you kidding me? This is the easiest form of brioche. I had no idea that this would be so complicated. And after doing it a few times, it is kind of complicated, but I get it more now. I did not realize 1-color brioche was so much easier. 2-color brioche in the round is easier than 2-color brioche flat, I feel like. And 1-color brioche, I'm assuming in the round, would be even easier than 2-color brioche. But 1-color brioche flat, oh my gosh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not, I don't know why I was so, doing a garment in all brioche was like really intimidating for me, but I'm finding it really relaxing and wonderful. Wonderful. Now, if you've been around for a second, you might think, wow, Beth, that's real red. Real red. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I know we're normally more of a like neutrals place over here, but so this is how it kind of works. This is the shoulder that's coming over here, and that's the back. So the button band that will have no buttons is incorporated into the side, which is really nice. I got this shade of Nutidin yarn. I really like the name. I don't know if I will say it correctly, so I'll actually put it on the screen. It reminds me of like fire, and it's probably the orangest red I'm okay with. Like this is as close to, like, it just looks like a truer red, you know what I mean? It's not a blue red. I do really like a blue red. I think those are really pretty. But this is about as far on the orange side as I will go before I don't care for it. I like orange. I just don't like orange reds very much. But this is gorgeous. It reminds me of the color of a cardinal, which is why I cast it on. Not only was it cast on Valentine's Day, which, you know, so appropriate, but also I just love red in the snow. When that cardinal is just like sitting in the snow, he knows he looks amazing, right? So I want to be a cardinal in the snow next year. I think it's beautiful. And this lot of Nutidin is really soft. Every color is a little bit different, I know, so I can't count on that for everything, but I really, really like this. I think I will be able to, I think I'm going to be able to just wear this on my body. I don't know. There are some guard hairs in here that I can see, and that's fine, but the more that I mess with it and knit with it, the more I'm just like, wow, this is a softer one than I've used before. Also, I would say one recommendation I already have for this pattern is if you do it, I would say go ahead and do a little provisional cast on for this back piece, because you're supposed to pick up these stitches, which is fine, right? It's lined up okay, I would say. But I had this big, like, and it's because I tried not to do my cast on tight enough that I would be like ripping the yarn, because Newsenden is so fragile when it's not knit up yet. So I had like this big kind of lump, and it was flipping all around, and I felted it with a little felting needle. I've never done that before. It was so easy and so efficient and so effective. I feel like I've changed my own life. It was really great. So I don't think I'll need to do that with this edge. I think it's okay. I'm going to try to be mindful of this one. Yeah, I know that some people have an easier time with the garter edge. I don't. I like to do a little slip stitch edge. So you can see I kind of forgot right here. But she has you do a garter edge on this side. I just find that harder to pick up. I really do. And if you're picking up garter bumps, then that's every other row anyway. And so I just started slipping this side thing, selvage edge, so that it's the same, you know, it's going to be the same. I don't know. Yeah, it feels like it has the same amount of give. And I have been so enjoying working on this. This is so relaxing to me. And in fact, my goal, oh, I'm just sitting in weird light, sorry. My goal for February was to finish a plate. And this is a plate. And the plates aren't exactly the same size, but that was my goal, is to finish the one I had started. And then this is one of the bigger ones, so I'm hoping to finish this one in March, which would be great. It does take me a long time to get garments done. I'm just one of those people that it just takes me a long time, and that's okay. I really do love working with Newsenden. It does take longer because I'm trying not to break the yarn. I know it's easy to put back together and all of that, but it just takes longer because I have to hold it a little differently, and yeah, but I really love it. I have knit 2 items in Newsenden. One was a very big shawl, which I use all the time, and then the other was a cropped cardigan that I knit in November of last year, which I have since pulled apart. I'll show you. I'll show it to you in a minute, actually. In a minute. But this is wonderful. I'm obsessed with it. It's like my favorite thing right now. And I feel like I'm going to use it a lot. I have a green cardigan, my champagne cardigan, and I use it so often. Sorry, I got distracted. My neighbor was having some trouble, and I wanted to make sure they didn't need any help. So anyway, I think I was just gushing about this. I really like it. I am going to continue liking it. There's always a point with bigger projects where I get bored and I have to like kind of like make my way through. But I feel like this one won't be like that. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. I think part of it is the curiosity. I love figuring things out, and I love knitting puzzles. They're my favorite kind. And I am curious as to how it will be in the round for the sleeves, because I've never knit one color brioche in the round. And yeah, it's going to be fun. So I think I am going to finish the body first. I don't always do that because I like to make sure that the sleeve length is what I want it to be, because that's really important to me. But we'll see. We'll see if I think I'll have enough yarn to do whatever I want. I think I'm going to have yarn left over because I got 500 grams of this colorway because I knew I wanted to make a sweater out of it. So we'll see. But also I've never made, like I've made the cropped sweater. This is just so nice. Sorry. Excuse me while I take a nap on this yarn. I don't know how far 500 grams goes in a garment, especially like considering positive ease and things like that. So we'll see, I guess. Okay, the last work in progress. Oh no, the second to last work in progress is this sweater that I'm making for my sister. I wanted to have it done for Christmas and it did not get done and I was discouraged, so I just set it down for a while. This is just stockinette. Like I finished the sleeves. The body is just stockinette for probably 9 more inches until I get to where the ribbing is going to start. It's this huge, oversized, chunky, basically blanket cardigan, and it is in like her favorite color. So I'm really excited about that. And I've been using the time when I sit with my son while he's falling asleep during the week. On the weekends, my kids all go to bed at the same time, kind of a little bit earlier. But because the 5-year-old is so much younger than everybody else, during the week, he still goes to bed earlier. So this is about, oh, it's on this side. This is about 4 inches of progress on here. I just go up every night that he is, you know, going to bed earlier than everybody else and do 2 rows, just back and forth, and then come back down. So maybe by next time, and I started doing that, maybe 2 weeks ago. It wasn't even all of February. So I'm hoping that if I just keep doing that, I'll have it at least to the ribbing by next month. The bigger needles make my hands hurt. I know a lot of people that, so this is on a 9mm, US 13. I know for some people it's not, it's the little needles that make their hands hurt. I'm good. I could probably make socks all day long. But man, when I was trying to motor on this, I had to really have a talk with myself about how worth it was to injure my hands or not. So this is out of Wool Ease Thick and Quick in the colorway Butterscotch. This is a super bulky yarn, so it comes in 170 gram skeins. I'm into the 5th one right now, and I'm assuming I'm gonna need to get into the 6th one. So that'll be just fine though. I'm excited that I found this color again. I was going through Joann's, which is closing, for those of you who don't know. I feel like it's everywhere, but if you don't know, you should know. Joann's is closing very, very soon. I think in the next couple of weeks. So, oh no. But while I was there, seeing what the closeout sales were with my sister-in-law, I found some more of this color. So I think I got what I need to finish it off. It's at the boring stage right now. Body Island is always the boring stage for me. But I think it's taking just chunks out of it each night while I wait for my son to fall asleep is the perfect little stockinette situation. And yeah, and that'll be just fine. Last work in progress. This is the Detroit Slipover. I am in love with it. It's so pretty. Yeah, this is the front, I've decided. And this is actually the back. So it's going to like come up on the back of the neck where this V is. It's a free pattern, which is really cool. And it is free, I think, because there's not a lot of instruction on like how to do the brioche stitch, how to, you know, do it. It just is like, do your I-cords over here, do your garter here, do your brioche here, and kind of walks you through increases and short rows, and then it's just like as established over and over again. So it's not a walk. Oh my gosh. I'm going to just keep clanging that. It's not a hold your hand pattern at all, but I think it's beautiful, especially for a free pattern. So I'm doing it on 5mm needles, but I've gone down a couple of sizes from what my intended chest circumference would be if it were on the suggested needle size, which I think is a US 6, a 4mm. So what do I keep knocking this against? I tore apart my Mastija cardigan because I just didn't like it. I loved the yarn. I loved the pattern. I loved the stitch. I want to say pattern, but like this stitch whole thing. I loved all of it. The thing that wasn't working for me was I made it as this cropped cardigan, and the intention was that that cardigan would have 0 to negative ease, and it didn't. It had so much ease on it. And part of that is because I just kind of guessed with my gauge. I put it on a 5mm needle, and I was like, I love this fabric. This is awesome. I'll just go down to the smallest size and it'll totally work. It totally did not. That's okay. I know that I would really like that cardigan size and fabric and everything if it were longer. I would really like that amount of positive ease if it were longer, and I have a really beautiful orange that I could use for that. So that's the plan, that I will make the Mastija again. Actually, all I've done is torn out the sleeves. So it's this beautiful, I'm just going to put this down because I keep knocking the ball and I'm annoying myself with that. It's this beautiful cardigan. It's bottom up. And so that, I think, because I'm less practiced at that, was also harder to do. So I've taken the buttons off and I've pulled the sleeves out. And but look how beautiful that is. Oh, it's so nice. And even as a vest, I was wearing it underneath like sweaters and stuff on really cold days, and it was really nice. But I had to have a sweater on top of it for it to lay on my back without like popping in the back. And so I want to redo it in a longer version so that the positive ease makes more sense for me. But it is just the most beautiful thing. I love it so much. So I am planning on making it again. But I'm frogging this because had I been able to get the right size for myself in the body, I think I wouldn't have had to switch over to a different yarn for the end of the sleeves. And that kind of bothered me, that I didn't have enough yarn to do that when I thought I would. So I'm going to be pulling this out. It's going to be totally fine. It's still going to be used in something beautiful. And then I'll have a different beautiful version of the Mastija cardigan in the orange or blue. I haven't decided. Still deciding. Maybe both. Who knows? But this is coming along really well. I really, really like it. This is also a brioche moment. And I realized yesterday I wasn't knitting on the November jacket because I wanted to like just show you like this is a plate and this is, my goal, and which is, great. And it was one day of not knitting on it because I finished the plate on the 27th of, either the 27th or the 28th of February. So it was just a couple days of not knitting on it. But I am enjoying brioche so much that I just cast on another brioche thing and was obsessed with it again. So I have 2 brioche things that I am obsessed with. I have no idea how quickly I will be working on them because the thing is, hyperfocus is a blessing. a lot of the time. And I was talking to my husband about this. There are times where hyperfocus is a real blessing because you can do things with such stamina and perseverance that other people may not be able to do, or you might not be able to have done in a different headspace. But it can also, when you're dealing with something that you really like, it's really enjoyable and it's really fun. When you're dealing with something a little different than that, it can almost feel like you've been taken hostage by your own brain. It's a little rough. So that's how some of my sewing projects were this month, where I felt like once they were done, I was actually like kind of released from the obsession. But this is not like that. This is really wonderful, but I also don't know how long it's going to hold out. So we'll see. Finished objects now. And then I'm going to do knitting finished objects, and then I'm going to do sewing finished objects. And then I'm going to show you my knitting Nick hobby box that came in that it blew me away. And then I think that's it. So we'll see. Here we go. So first finished object here is my ribbed socks. Oh, these are really great. So great. I have the other one here that I finished. I don't normally block my socks out unless they're going to be gifts, especially if they're ribbed, because I feel like it's better for it to keep like its elasticity this way. But I wanted to show you on here real quick because I just want you to be able to see it. So I do a cast on of for the knits a long tail, and for the pearls German twisted. So it's a 2x2 up here, and then I just continued the 2x2 through the front and stockinette on the back. I did my tread heavy heel back here, and I pulled from the center of the ball to have this match here, and it's so satisfying. Then this blue matches down here because the length is just perfect, and that also means that I had enough blue left from this stripe to be able to do, I think, a round and a half, maybe 2 rounds, and that meant that the stripe wasn't super short near the gusset, which so satisfying. And then this is one of the Sophie Toe minis, and it's just like so close to all the tones in the sock. Oh, I'm so excited about it. This yarn is from the Minimal Knitter. The colorway is called Feeling Blue, and it's just so wonderful. I have worn them twice now, and I still I'm already really happy about them. I was telling my husband I have only kept 8 pairs of socks for myself. In all the socks that I've made, I either end up giving them to my oldest son, who can wear the same size socks I do, or I will finish them, and before I've worn them, I'll think, I don't know about these, and give them off to someone else. The factors of the socks that I've kept is just that they're a little bit toothier and a little more structured in the way that they hold their sock form. So I have a lot of the socks I've kept are Patton's Croix socks, these socks, West Yorkshire Spinners socks, and I think I have one standard soft sock yarn sock that I've kept, but I might end up giving those to my son because now I have 8 pairs of socks, and 7 to 3 pairs of socks is just fine with me. Had to move you there because my phone is starting to die. So speaking of brioche, I know we've taken a bit of a break here, but let's get back into it, shall we? This is a hat that I finished for my husband for Valentine's Day. I actually got it done. You can see where he creases it. What do I want to say? I soaked it before I gave it to him. I didn't really block it out or anything, but his head is a lot bigger than mine. And so he wears it back like this, and he has a lot of hair. And so he wears it back like that. I'm going to make one for myself, and when I wear it, I know that my head is small enough that I'll probably be able to have this much of a brim on it. So, but his hair and his head are so much bigger that this is all the brim that he's able to have. So he was redoing some ceiling lights. I say redoing. He was installing ceiling lights that have never existed before in this room for me, which maybe I should turn them on because that would be helpful. He was putting the lights in and he saw these yarns next to each other and he said, oh, those would look really good together. And I was like, file that away. And I had already made a hat from this pattern. I think you say it, Aniela hat by Vert and Rose. And he really liked it. I showed it to him. I had made it for my friend and I was like, doesn't this look really good? And he was like, oh yeah, I'd like a hat like that. And he had already told me he liked these like a few weeks before that. And so what are they doing? Hi.
Hi.
Thank you. Would you like your hat back?
Sure.
I'm done with it.
Okay.
You look nice.
Thanks.
Yeah. My husband just came to drop off one of the finished objects I wanted to show you. It was in the car and picked up his hat. I was really excited actually because I was trying not to knit that hat around him. But I do a lot of knitting next to him in the evening, you know, when we're together at night. Just chilling, watching shows, you know, telling our children, yes, it really is time for you to go back to bed. So I wanted to have this one done for him also because he really liked this yarn. I made his mom a shawl for Christmas out of this yarn, and they're just all about these dusty pinks, man. His whole family's into them, and I see why. It's a beautiful color. So I did these. The Anielle hat, the suggested needle size is a 4. This one is a 4. Well, there isn't a suggested needle size for the Musselburgh hat. You just kind of pick it and then choose your gauge on there. I did it all out of the same yarn. After making that shawl and this hat, I just have this one, which this is the K&C, which stands for Knit and Crochet Yarn, Essential Wool. So it's just all superwash yarn in the color raspberry. So I just have this much left now. And it's not really my cup of tea. It relaxes so much when you put it in the water. So for the shawl, that was really wonderful. And for the hat, I'm actually glad that I kept with a 4mm needle. Even though it's a worsted weight yarn, I probably could have done a 4.5 or a 5mm needle with it, but I was afraid that it would relax too much because he really likes his hats to have some negative ease that he can feel type of factor. So I haven't had him try this on yet. I'll have him try it on. I think the brim will be a lot smaller on him, like how it normally is. But he didn't even know I was making either of these hats for him. I was able to get the first hat done for Valentine's Day. He didn't even know I was making it. It was really fun because I was able to have several days by myself in February where I was helping a friend. And so that meant for a part of that time, I was just in a hotel knitting my little heart out, and it was like so productive. And then this one, I started doing it and I ended up just knitting it around him because I figured he had seen it anyway, but he didn't know it was for him. So the other day I told him, I was like, oh, I'm finishing your hat. And he was like, oh, that one's for me. He said, I like that yarn. I said, I know, you told me. So anyway, that means the man has 4 hats now that I've knit him, except the kids keep stealing the hats that I made him before. So who knows? Maybe he'll just pick his favorites. That's kind of what we do around here. I make things for me. I make hats for him. I make some things for the kids, but a lot of things that I make for him and I just kind of trickle down and keep all of us warm. Okay, so the last couple of finished objects are exactly the same. This is just a thing that I made a while ago. These are all acrylic yarn except for the white. That is Barocco. Oh gosh, that bowl. I gotta stop kicking it. I should probably move it if I want that to happen. So I made this for my daughter. She loves blue. If you couldn't tell, her sock yarn that she chose is blue. This is blue. I made this for her birthday last year and she absolutely loves it. She wears it all the time. It's all it is I cast on 60 stitches on a provisional cast on. I just do a broken rib for 21, 22 inches, and then I Kitchener it together. So this one, I did the Kitchener backwards on this part, but I figured it out on the other side. So this one, I did the exact same thing with these. Pantone and Karen Yarn did like a collaboration on these. So this was like its own gradient. And there was a white yarn that came with this, but I couldn't find it. I must have used it for something else. So I used this because I really liked the cool tone white next to this icy blue. And I had a bunch of that yarn left over from a blanket that I made from last year. So I did it again with this one and this one. I originally was just going to take all of these colors and just make one cowl with it. But I remembered when I was talking to my kiddos, I said like, ooh, these are really cool. And they were in these little braids. And my kids were like, ooh, I'd like that one for me. I'd like that one for me. And so I knew that my youngest daughter had picked out the blue one. I could not remember who picked out the other ones. So I just knit them, you know, the way that the cards say. And then added the white and then came out with them later. This looks, okay, I kind of wish I hadn't done this, but this looks like a little dirty streak on there because I thought I was going to run out of yarn for a minute, added a, you know, more yellow sock yarn, and then decided it wasn't working and kept going. No one's going to see it but me and you. So it's not that big of a deal, but I wish I had just rewound the yarn and used it how I did here. But honestly, I ran out really quickly. I don't know. It's only a few rounds. Who knows? Who knows how long it would have. And it's way more noticeable in the camera than it is in real life. And this belongs to my 5-year-old son. So this is probably going to get really dirty anyway. Actually, it kind of is. Well, I guess I will throw these in the wash because they are just the cutest. They're just so sweet, aren't they? So sweet. And they really like them, and it's really cute just to see them pop them over their heads. Okay, so first I have a few sewing finished objects to show you. This is the Petrichor Pinafore by Sew Liberated. I've had this fabric in stash for a while. I'm sure I got it at Joann's. It's this really soft, kind of flannel-y feeling fabric, and it's really great. I like it a lot. I used a lot of it for this pattern. I have like some scraps that I'm keeping, but this is pretty much how much it would make. So it did it in a day. It was super fun to put together. I actually really love cutting out fabric, getting it all ready, and then in a weekend, you know, just making the thing. And that's exactly what happened with this. I really like just the colors in the fabric. It's like rainbowy without being an actual rainbow. And I like the fit a lot. There's a lot of positive ease recommended in Sew Liberated patterns. And I think that's why, part of why they're so popular is when you have a pattern that has so much positive ease, it's very forgiving for people who are like making mistakes and things like that. But this was, so I went down maybe 4 sizes from what is suggested in the pattern, but I love it. I love the fit. I love the way it works. This, I was told, was pretty tricky. These little, what do I want to call them? Just these, what shape is that? I want to call it a triangle, but that's not accurate with these things. Anyway, that this was like really hard to do. Spoiler alert, it was not that hard to do, and except I did it wrong. The first time I did it, I put this on backwards, so like the straps were all twisted. And at first I was like, oh, well, maybe I could, like just have them cross in the back and not have, and it would not have worked. I realized like that would mean that part like this would be backwards. Anyway, it wouldn't have worked. So I had to tear it out and do it again, but that's okay. These pockets are just so cute. I really like them. They're very functional. And this is one of the things that I was making for my spring summer wardrobe that I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of. I've already worn it on warm days now. And I really love how this like swoops. I really like that. It's really comfortable, and it just, I feel like makes the body shape right there, like it's really cute. Like you can see the little waist dip there, and if you choose to have even more positive ease than I had, you would see it even more. So I really like this a lot. The petrichor word came up in my life several times, and then once I bought the petrichor pinafore pattern, it stopped coming up in my life. So I thought, well, I guess I'm supposed to make it. And I did, and it's great. It was a great choice. I have two of these dresses. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. Okay, so these are wrap dresses that I just used a simplicity pattern for. It's this one here, 8851, this little one there. And I made these dresses pretty heavy on purpose because I wanted them to be very warm. So you can see that they have different shades of green going on here. This is just how the fabric worked out so that I could use it all. I do have scraps of it again, but nothing substantial. And I bought this fabric, which is flannel, from Joann's because I went to the store to buy my girls some dresses for going to the symphony and the children's museum for an outing with their cousins and their grandma. And I went there, and the dresses were $45 a piece. And I thought, that is a lot. I'm not making any statement about whether it's worth it or not, but it's just a lot. So I thought, you know what? Instead of spending $90 on two dresses, what I could probably do is go spend money on fabric and a pattern and somehow spend less to make it myself, which is not always the case when you make your own clothes. It's often not the case that it's less. So I spent about 4 days obsessing over these dresses, which I think the girls and I have actually decided are coats because they're so heavy. But they're so cute and so sweet, and they give real Princess Anna vibes. This ties here, and this little scalloped edge is one of my favorite parts. The skirt in the pattern is not lined, but it does have you line the bodice and like catch the waist seam of the skirt in there. So that's really nice. If I choose to do like a summer variation, there won't be any seams that I'll have to like figure out how to try to cover. It's already in the pattern. There are different sleeve lengths. There are different sleeve kinds. There's like a flutter sleeve. Obviously you could do it without a sleeve. I did the long sleeve, which is more of a like to here sleeve, bracelet sleeve, 3/4 sleeve, something. And it fits them really well. I measured them and was sewing for a couple of days. My daughter did like this little designer sketch for me. It was really cute. She was like, that way you can focus. And I was like, thank you. It was really sweet. And so I had it set up there the whole time. So these are, the outside is corduroy that I had in my stash. So it is really like a coat but I added pockets, also some in-hip pockets. Oh, a little handkerchief. Some in-hip pockets for them, just because if you're making a full skirt, you just gotta put pockets in it. It just makes sense. So this one is probably the one that has the most Princess Anna vibes, which is great because this is the bigger size. So that means my younger daughter will be able to wear it next year. And I'm not sure if we're just going to use them as coats or not. They did wear them as dresses for the symphony, and it was just so cute. They were so cute. There were moments, though, where they were a little warm. The reason I made these the way I did, so heavy and so cozy, is because I wanted to, oh my gosh, another handkerchief. I gave them handkerchiefs just in case they were like in a, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. In a new dusty place and like got sniffly or something, and they felt very fancy. So the only modifications I did was lining the skirt also, and then putting pockets in. And then of course, since I lined the skirt, I like attached it differently than it would say in the pattern. I basically made 2 dresses and then attached them on all the edges and sleeves and stuff. So sorry, it's not very detailed for those of you who are learning to sew. I know that can be frustrating for someone to be like, so I just kind of did it. Also, I've taught myself pretty much everything that I didn't learn from my mother. So I'm not as versed in like the terminology as I would be for knitting or anything like that. I've learned from several people about knitting and terminology, but with sewing, I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, and I'm okay with that. There's so many tutorials and patterns around sewing that I don't feel like I would be holding you back at all if that's something you wanted to get into. Lastly, I wanted to show you my Knitting Nakabi box for February. These are Gothic literature inspired yarn boxes, but they also come with these goodies. So you can choose to just get the yarn. I think there's like a mid-range option too, where you can choose just the yarn and like one other thing, or you can choose all the things. And I've chosen all the things each time. And the next one that is available is the picture of Dorian Gray, which, is going to be great. This one is Jane Eyre. And I read Jane Eyre when I was in high school. And my goodness, Jane Eyre is a ride. It's a lot, but it's really cool. And there's this really famous line that she says, basically, someone is talking to her. I don't remember if it's Mr. Rochester or not, but someone's basically like, you're just like a little bird, you know? And she says, I am no bird and no net ensnares me. Look at that. Oh my gosh. So great. So, Charlotte Bronte. I'm questioning myself because there are 3 Bronte sisters. Emily Bronte, Charlotte Bronte. I don't remember the other one. Yeah, Charlotte Bronte wrote Jane Eyre. And this is a notebook with 3 Bronte sisters on it, which is fantastic. They were all authors and all wrote some kind of, I want to say, dark romance stuff, where like it's kind of weird. Yeah, a lot. So, was Emily Bronte the poet? Anyway, I'm not saying factual things right now, but I do love Jane Eyre. And this little bird cage came with it, and you can put these candles in it. It did say not to touch the metal bird cage when there are candles in it because it'll probably burn you, but I think it's so cute. And I'm going to put it on my bookshelf, and it's going to be so great. Oh, it was, as I was opening this box, I was just like, oh, look at that. Like, it was so great. And this is the yarn for Jane Eyre. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, on the moors of England with Jane Eyre. Oh, I'm so in love with it. It's so great. And I talked before, waxed poetically about Kelsey's yarn and how it's like the softest thing ever. And it's still that way. The merino's still so wonderful. Non-superwash merino is just so soft and gorgeous. So I think that's it for today for projects and everything. I believe the only things left on my list that I had in January that I wanted to make when it just like kind of hit me that I wanted to make a bunch of things is that I wanted to make a couple more hot water bottle covers. So I'll probably do that. But I think after that, I'm going to be pretty brioche and socks focused. So I have a lot of socks on my needles. They're probably half of the whips from 2024. Probably. So yeah, I am gonna follow this brioche obsession as far as it takes me. But I also have some things that I'd really like to finish. I'm realizing now one of the things that I was waiting on is this is one of the yarns that I'm using for a pair of socks that I need to finish. And I think once I finish that pair of socks, I won't have enough of this to do the strawberries for the bunny cowl. So I might need to buy more yarn anyway. Oh no! So that's what's going on in March, I think. I think I'm going to be doing lots of socks, especially because Earth Tones Girl has got her I Love Books and Sock Knitting cowl going on in March. And I joined a spring knit-along called The Birds Are Back knit-along. I will put her name on the screen, the woman who's running it, because I'm afraid I'm going to say her name wrong. I've never heard her say her name. So anyway, I just found her podcast. It's wonderful. And I am really excited about it. So I think I'm going to, since I just started the vest yesterday on March 1st, I think I'm going to use that as my Birds Are Back knit along entry piece that I'm knitting with other people. And then I will see which socks I can get done that match one of the books that I'm reading. I'm reading a couple of books right now, but they don't really, I'm trying to think if any of them could match with any socks that I have been wanting to make. One of them that I'm reading is The Greatest Love Story Ever Told by Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally, which it's very funny. It was not overhyped by the people who suggested it to me. It's very good. My husband and I were listening to it together on a road trip, and I just kind of want to sit and listen to the rest of it with him. I think there's 3 hours left or something of it, and enjoy that together. I'm also listening to Wool, which my husband really likes. I suggested that to him last year when I was hearing Denise of Earth Tones Girl talk about it. I think a couple of years ago she was talking about it, and he read it, then he suggested it for our family bingo card, our reading bingo card, and now I was trying to get it done before the end of last year, but now I'm just trying to finish it, which is great. And I have a couple of books that I haven't cracked open yet that I'm hoping to get into in March. One is a book of poetry by Wendell Berry, because Nick Offerman keeps talking about Wendell Berry and his poetry and how much he loves it. So I just want to see what all the hype is about. And then I think it's called Looking for Alaska by John Green. And I heard that one was really good. And so I got physical copies of both of those. And now I have this beautiful bookmark that I can put in them while I'm reading them. So I'll update you on how those go. Wool has got me in its clutches. Like, I'm already crying over one of the characters. I'm already in that so deeply. The greatest love story ever told, also, I keep thinking about finishing just by myself, and maybe he could finish it by himself and we could exchange notes. I don't know, but it's already been really fun to listen to. So hopefully I can get those done this month and knock off some of the things on my family bingo card. Because last year, I was one space away from getting a bingo. My goal last year was just to read a book for pleasure. Like, I used to read all the time before I had children. And I realized, like, it's not that I dislike reading anymore. It's just I really dislike being interrupted. And so I don't mess with my escapism. So I had started reading again last year in January. Loved doing it again. Was able to be a little less, I don't know. The only word I'm thinking of is bitchy. A little less bitchy about being interrupted. I do have 4 children. They do have things they need. I can't just read all day and not do anything to help them. But anyway, it was really great. And I just was reading all the books that I wanted to read, and anything that fit in the bingo, I crossed it off. So I did read more than 5 books last year, but none of them were in the row for a bingo. So this year we have some cool things going on with it. And I think I will be able to get at least 1 bingo by the end of the year, but that means I actually have to read the books. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me. Leave a little emoji in the comments if you made it to the end. You know I love knowing who made it to the end, and I'll see you next time. Bye.